Hey. What's going on? Had a long day today, so I don't think I'm going to be on long. Yeah, so how's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? What's the good word? Uh, just going to give people time to get up in the room. I'm not going to bother to really broadcast this one because I am not going to be on long anyway. But I hope everyone's good. I hope everyone had a good weekend. And yeah, that's basically it. Who's been here? Hey, Revolution, how's it going? Hey, Harlow, how you feeling? I'm not gonna do it today, but I'm gonna do a follow up to that uh Captain America thing because yeah, some people got pretty upset about it. I didn't think it was that big a deal. It was just, you know, it was just whatever. People got pissed. Hey, Alex Marquez, Perez Muniz Diaz, Pudas Thoreau, and Mario Lewis, how you feeling? Lamin Sane, how's it going over in Japan? I want to mention some things, man. We were talking about the activism to we were talking about the activism to writing to entertainment pipeline, the activism to journalism to entertainment to brand stuff pipeline. Everything bounces. All these academia, the academia to entertainment to activism pipeline and how it's all weird, like academics fancy themselves activists, but they also try to break into entertainment. Entertainers teach and writers teach honorary classes at academies, but they also think they're activists, and it goes in all directions. And one of the ones we talked about with Sharice Burden Stelly, Dr. CBS, remember we were talking about Ibram Zendi and his anti-racist baby and stuff. Yeah, I was being funny with saying all your last names, Alex. Yeah, I'm not really gonna say it every time. I was just having fun. Yeah. Hey, I sound info, but I want to show this. It's par for the course with the biggest content suppliers. Like if content is the national drug now, the way cocaine was in the 80s, the biggest dealer right now is basically Netflix. They announced they're doing one movie a week this year, and I mean, there's a lot of crazy things about them. Some of them I wanna I'll give some examples. They're really the kings of content right now, and in a big way. And they've moved the Overton window on content in a sick way, right? Because now they've kind of normalized it and given room for the bar to be raised for everything and everyone else. And I'll give a quick example. A lot of people don't realize this. Well, they're using algorithms to pick shows now, but check out this thing in 2018, right? In 2018, I thank you, Alex. Much appreciated. Yes, 72 movies in total for 2021. So it's not even just one movie a week. It's a minimum of one movie a week. Some weeks are going to have two or three movies. And I can't see the quality control being great and all that. But check it out. Let me take that off the screen for a second and show something else instead. Uh, I saw this article a couple of years ago. It didn't make that much noise, but when I saw it, I was like, this is a big deal. Why is no one talking about this?" But in 2018, there was an article, Netflix pushing, that's 3 years ago, Netflix pushing more shows than Amazon, Hulu, Facebook Watch, HBO, and YouTube Premium combined. And it shows how many shows those were all having all so it had more than 4 times the next busiest advertiser, Hulu. So yeah, I mean, the second place had 25% of what they were doing. So yeah, they're just spamming the market. Like they're creating a glut. Like there's two things with content is glut and churn. It's everything's always churning. Things are getting canceled while new things are coming on. So like they're just throwing everything against the wall that sticks, but there's a churn in that a lot of things eventually end up getting canceled or put on hiatus and everything. It's just spamming the hell out of everything. So what's interesting with that is fast forward to today and they're still at it. They have s- um Netflix massive 2021 film slate will deliver new movies every week this year. Yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda's definitely what the world needs. It's I wonder what it's gonna be. Oh yeah, In the Heights. That's the one I think they're gonna put. Yeah, but um, so yeah, 71 titles across genres. In 2021. I've noticed it already. Every week, uh, we go into Netflix, something is new and there and showing. Now, what is interesting about that is the article I showed you before. That was 2018, and that's what they were doing then, as far as what they were promoting. But if you look at what's happening now, um, I want to show a couple of things. When Disney had that Investors Day, where they were talking about all the stuff that was coming for the coming year, tell the investors, oh, Netflix, nothing is good. Everything on Netflix is terrible. I just stopped even checking their stuff out. Even if it's a topic I'm into, I know they're gonna have a dumbed down after school special version of it. It's horrible. All the Disney Investor Day announcements in one big plot, and when you look at it, one big post, and it's like, um, how many things did they say they had? I think it's over 100 things planned, and so much of it again is spam. But you lose track of everything Disney owns. So they own Hulu, um, FX Networks, Lucasfilm, and all these spin-off series that they have planned, bringing back Hayden Christensen. They're giving everybody their own Star Wars trilogies. So Taiki Waititi, Patty Jenkins has something. They're giving a bunch of people stuff. They're rebooting Willow, the old movie, adapting all this stuff. Um, I think I read like over 100 projects, and so much of it is just cynical reboots or live action versions of. So the Black Little Mermaid is there. So they have that. Oh, it's interesting. I didn't realize they made this announcement. So Prince Eric in the live version of Little Mermaid is a white guy. A friend of mine predicted that was going to be the case, and it looks like it happened. That's really interesting. Um, yeah, we knew they were going to do that because for the type of people who were really excited by a black Disney princess, they're like Tumblr types and whatever, and it would be, I think, for that type of stand a letdown if they had Ariel be black, but then they made the guy black too. So yeah, yeah, but it's like over 100 things. It's a glut. Like it's kind of become normalized. Once Netflix raised that bar, everyone else was free to just go crazy too. And this gets pretty interesting, right? Check this out. I'm gonna show you something else. The head of Warner Brothers, they talked to him, and this is after the Disney announcement, but before the Netflix one movie a week announcement, I believe, or it might have come after the one movie a week announcement. I forget. But Walter Hamada, who runs DC Films, there's a New York Times article that says he's overseeing a dizzying number of projects, part of a swarm of comics-based stories coming from Hollywood. So he's leading. It's like an arms race. He's leading his own front of stuff, and so this is going to be the most expensive DC movies made. Two annual superhero films is the goal, but to arrive exclusively on HBO Max. But DC Films will also work with filmmakers to develop movie offshoots, TV series that will run on HBO Max and interconnect with their big screen endeavors. So there's a synergy. This was interesting. You said, with every movie that we're looking at now, we are thinking, what's the potential Max as an HBO Max spinoff? Mr. Hamada said. And the article continues, if you think there was a glut of superheroes before, just wait. To make all the storylines work, DC Films will introduce the movie audience to a comics concept known as the multiverse, parallel worlds where different versions of the same character exist simultaneously. Coming up, for example, Warner Brothers will have two different film sagas involving Batman, played by two different actors, running at the same time. Now, what that means with the multiverse thing, they're making an in-story reason for why they can now have 5 Batman live actions, 6, because these have this rule that I guess they didn't really have to follow, but it was conventional wisdom, where if you had a character appearing and being adapted in one franchise, you couldn't have, like, for example, you couldn't have a movie Batman and a TV Batman, because the idea was that it would self cannibalize. It would dilute the character. They didn't want to flood the market. They didn't want to cannibalize and have him take. But I think what they underestimated and what they were wrong about is content is a drug. You can't get satiated really on a drug. Like, food and nourishment can satiate you, but like, it's hard to binge eat broccoli, or something like that, or like nutritious wholesome food. But junk food you can eat all day. You're not really eating it for nourishment. You're eating it for dopamine and to numb yourself, and to change your mood and to distract yourself. Yeah, or for entertainment or pleasure. That's what you eat junk food for. So, I mean, I think this is smarter in business terms to just flood the market. So they made an in-universe reason for it, and you see it kind of started with the Flash TV show. They have a Flash in the movies. They used to like take characters out of things, out of properties, because they were being used somewhere else. So, like, for example, you know, there was this Fantastic Four cartoon in the 70s, and the Fantastic Four cartoon had to take the Human Torch out and put a robot in there, because the Human Torch was being used for a solo project somewhere else. Like, that would never happen today. If something's popular, just put it everywhere. I don't. I think kind of marks the end of prestige TV. And the reason I say that is because if you look at HBO Max, there's no curation there anymore. Like, they've got everything. I remember HBO used to kind of try to pretend to be highbrow. So when you went on HBO and went on, the regular HBO Now, or whatever it was called, you saw like these shows that were like high middle brow, or straight highbrow. And now HBO Max is clearly just dumping everything they can buy on it. It's like Netflix now, where you have highbrow stuff, but you also have like Big Bang Theory and Friends. You don't look at it and feel like you're part of an elite curated thing. Yeah. So, yeah, they're really working to exploit people's media time over the pandemic. Your fanboy in chief personality. I mean, the end game of this is just money and market share. Because you know what this is? Silicon Valley VC, venture capital mindset has infected everything. And what that is get market share. You're big, you're rich. You can even um, deal with a very thin profit margin. But once you dominate the market, then you'll be in control. Just be the biggest and first mover in every innovation, and eventually it'll pay off. Just dominate, then monetize. Dominate, then monetize. So I think it's what it is. They just want eyeballs, want market share. That's what websites do. Like every quarter, they judge Twitter and Facebook mainly on not really straight up profit and earning sheets or profit and loss statements, but new user count. That's why they're able to withstand this horrible pandemic time. All those stocks go up because they're judged on like castles in the sky and weird shit. You know, hey, we got a raid. What's going on? Thank you, thank you. Yeah. So they don't care. They just want. That's the VC mindset. They put it toward entertainment now. Just get the eyeballs at any cost. Get the buzz. Get the content and throw everything against the wall. Something's gonna stick, and then whatever that sticks, and just keep making content that leads to other content, and make sure this content is like guaranteed to work and everything. So, um, the complicated plan involves a sharp increase in production. Um, yeah, so it's gonna be pretty interesting. I don't think it's gonna do great, but let's see. But here's what it is. Mata took over from somebody else, and it says Disney has succeeded in part because its divisions collaborate in a way that siloed Warner Brothers never has. Which, if you ever research Warner Brothers, that's very true. Everything is own fiefdom. What they've done to DC Comics is basically just gut its autonomy. They've done 3 waves of layoffs, major layoffs at DC, including like a bunch of editorial, and just kept like the cheap people. They're treating it now as a content farm for an IP content farm to feed stuff to the movies and the other segments like the TV and HBO Max and the merchandising arms. Like it's basically there to create characters to be pimped. And they basically gutted everything. They put some bean counter in charge of it, and they're just creating this huge synergy now. So this is because AT&T bought it. It's now AT&T Time Warner. So it's AOL Time Warner. Time Warner merged with AOL, then they merged with AT&T. It's just a giant network now. So AT&T mandated greater cross-company synergy when it took over Warner Media in 2018. In the past, we were so secretive, Mr. Hamada said. It was shocking to me, for example, how few people at the company were allowed to read scripts for the movies we are making. More than ever, studios are leaning on pre-established characters and brands, especially if their companies, corporate parents, are building streaming services. So it's going to be low risk too. It's just going to be like 50% probably Batman universe, and surefire things. It's not going to be any risky plays. Hey, what's going on, y'all? I sound info. Well, very so what's up to you? Sean Breezy, Unelectable Airways. How you doing? Class time. Glad y'all joined us. Um, yeah, so listen to this. HBO Max has 12.6 million subscriber activations. Netflix is at 195 million. How do you delight Wall Street and quickly close the gap? You start by putting your superheroes to work. That's what. So Disney announced this month 100 new shows for the next few years. Most of them headed directly to Disney Plus, which has 87 million. So you have 195 million for Netflix, 87 million for Disney Plus, and 16 12.6 million for HBO Max. HBO Max is widely under performing. Um, so to close a gap like that, a 70 million gap, and an even worse, 170 million gap, you have to take no risk. It's just going to be spamming with the most safest, craziest stuff. So it's like um, a couple of Batman related movies, multiple Batman franchises, Suicide Squad sequel, uh, The Rock in a movie, television spin-offs from all those movies. So John Cena is getting a television spin-off from the Suicide Squad. There's going to be one from the Batman, 25 additional live action shows. Um yeah, so the thing goes on to other places too, like Sony and all those places. Um and this is causing a problem because they're just thinking they're just going to glut their way, just keep throwing so much can't miss content at you that you just have to sign up. But what's funny, what's happening is it's still not working. Yeah, exactly. They don't try to cure anything anymore, big pharma, really. They had to with this COVID thing. It was too much of an emergency. But yeah, the rest is like dick pills and hair pills and stuff like that. Yeah, growth. Someone called it, there's an economist that called it growthism as a philosophy, like just growing for the sake of growing. And that's what ISON Info is talking. Yeah. Yep. And yeah, they don't want to give shit to creators. They don't want to, and they also don't want to take any risks. That's the other thing. Make something new as an untested property, but make another Batman thing and then get like a supposed genius to do a genius take. Like Ryan Johnson created his production company, and nothing really groundbreaking or crazy has come out of it. They did Knives Out, which is just basically um um clue for their jaded irony generation, but put him on something with guaranteed eyeballs like Star Wars Last Jedi, and people act like he's some kind of genius, but he hasn't actually created anything really that had any lasting impact. So they don't want to take those risks. They don't want to take the time to develop something when they're trying to close a 80 subscriber gap or 170 million subscriber gap. Hey, Chaotic Goods, they don't want to do that. Especially because every quarter, when you're a corporation, when you're independent, you have like options and privately owned. When you're a corporation, you have to have quarterly reports every 3 months. Now, if every 3 months people are looking at the numbers and your job is at stake every quarterly report that you can't show results, and the stock can tank up and can shoot up or tank based on one or two bad quarterly reports. So multiple people can lose millions every time your quarters don't dazzle people. What incentive is there for you to develop anything or take something that's started out as a dog but you see potential in and stick with it? Like the way how Seinfeld didn't do great ratings at the beginning. He used to get his ass kicked by Home Improvement, and it took years and moving it to different time slots before it hit, and then it became a huge hit. Like in this climate, that would never happen. They would have killed it. First off, they probably wouldn't have created it. But if it didn't hit right away, they would have killed it. Yeah. Oh, that's not happening anymore. They don't want to admit that it's not happening, but it's not happening. It's like an open secret that's not happening. They gotta have the save face, but it was very polarizing, that movie. And also on top of that, he set it up so that the third one had no choice but to suck. Like he takes the main villain off the board in the second one, whether you like him or not. Took the just so he can say look how clever I am. Took away the mystery of Ray's thing and all those things I thought were boring, cliched storylines, but at least if you look at Empire Strikes Back, or if you look at the second installment of the prequels, Attack of the Clones, all the things that had to be done in the third part of the trilogy were there. We have to rescue Han Solo. We have to, you know, what's Luke going to do? But the fact that Darth Vader is his father, what's going to be his next move? How are they going to defeat these insurmountable odds? What's going to happen with these 3 or 4 things? Is Empire going to go? Um, it was full of cliffhangers. There was a purpose for the third. At the end of The Last Jedi, basically, the main bad guy was just killed. Boom. Okay, he's off the board. Who he was didn't matter. Rey's parents didn't matter. All these things kind of just got wiped off the board. And then what is there left to do? The only guy left in the movie, right? There's no real conflict to really resolve except basically, okay, when is the order going to be gone? When is this first order going to be gone? We know, but Kylo Ren was beaten by the hero when she had no training in the first movie. The movie's the most poorly thought out trilogy. She kicks his ass with no training because she's a Mary Sue. And then, so now the fact that this guy is the one who's going to be the main hero in part 3, and so this guy's going to be the main villain in part 3, and he's somebody that our hero beat when she had no training at all. Now she's more powerful. So what's the threat? You know, like Luke couldn't touch Darth Vader at all in the first 2 parts. So trying to figure out how he's going to level up to beat Darth Vader in part 3 is excitement. Like when you put Kylo Ren as the standing new last guy, he hasn't done any major leveling up that we've seen on screen. Only the hero has, and the hero's already kicked his ass soundly. What anticipation or fear? You know, we've seen her beat him already. You know, so I mean, even this episode of Breaking Bad is one of the most polarizing episodes. That the Fly one. I mean, he did do a good episode with the one. I think he did the one where Hank died. Spoilers. Yeah, but they're not happy with him. But they got to save face, and they don't want to you know, fire him. I think Kathleen Kennedy likes him, but Kathleen Kennedy, she's kind of a dead woman walking herself. Her contract hasn't expired yet. It has like another 2 years to expire. So they have to make, you know, play nice. But if you notice, she's not doing anything. They're giving everything to Jon Favreau and his people. They're setting up Jon Favreau to be the new architect, and he's having a good track record. He did The Mandalorian. He's doing great. And they're giving him more and more responsibilities. If you think about it, what has Kathleen Kennedy like announced or said recently at all? She's not even now involved in the she's not even involved in the Investor Day announcements. A lot of it is other people's stuff or Jon Favreau stuff. Her writing staff is not being used. They have nothing to do with The Mandalorian, and Disney's very pleased with The Mandalorian. A lot of people don't know this, but Bob Iger had an autobiography. He cut Kathleen Kennedy out of it. That's basically how frustrated and disgusted he is with her. So yeah, she has her contract, and she's trying to find ways to make herself still relevant, but yeah, she's not anymore. And so that Ryan Kennedy trilogy was under her watch, and they don't want that. She doesn't have a say anymore. It's kind of like, you ever been someplace where somebody who's in good standing or big in the company hires you, and you're one of the people they hire? It's happened to me once, and then that person leaves the company, and the other person that's left didn't like the first person. So now you went from being brought in, you know, by someone that liked you to just being someone that was inherited by a person who's not liked. someone brought in by a person that the person who's remaining doesn't like, and they just inherited you. That's kind of situation that she's in. Anyway, this is the next problem that they're having. Why this stuff is not going to work? It's going to be pretty interesting. Hmm. Is this is the churn. How fast do you cancel streaming services? It's a problem for Hollywood. So they're trying to get all these users, but now what they're finding out is um, people are just signing up to binge watch and canceling right away. And if there's a trial, then it's even faster. But people, they'll join the subscription service, and how long do they keep it? A month, a week, a day? And that's kind of the problem. That's the issue facing media entertainment companies as the battle for streaming audiences settles into a new phase. During 2019 2020, studios launched Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, which has both paid and free tiers, Apple TV Plus, Discovery Plus, and others, all betting on original exclusive programming to draw users. Every single one of those is going to have a line of original shows. So that 2018 um, article about comparing Netflix to all the other channels combined. I wish that author made an annual announcement, because that'd be very interesting if he had an annual story like that saying what the state of streaming is, because I'd love to know what it is now, because I got a feeling everybody's amped their game. It's kind of become the new normal. It's like a content bubble, right? Problem is that because they are so easy to cancel, those services are seeing a lot of people leave after they finish watching the shows that convinced them to sign up in the first place. That phenomenon, known in the industry as churn, is a growing headache in the streaming wars, according to the new report released Monday night by professional services giant Deloitte. According to Deloitte's survey of 1,100 people in October, 46% of respondents canceled at least one streaming service in the last 6 months. Drastic increase of from 20% who said the same thing in January of the previous year. So it more than doubled the amount of the data suggests it's becoming harder and harder for media and entertainment companies to retain subscribers as competition increases. With so many services available, having exclusive content alone isn't enough to keep people on board. So yeah, um, that cord cutting thing is funny because now the cord cutting is more expensive than cable. Trying to sign up for all these streaming services. Yeah, so this is what's gonna be interesting. It's forcing streaming companies to consider measures of success other than box office and other easily understandable metrics such as ratings. What that means is this is the problem with the .com boom and the VC explosion. Um, those companies had a hard time doing traditional profits and loss statements and traditional metrics and PE ratios and stuff like that. So they started coming up with new ways to justify the stock price and different things. So that's when you start having like how many annual new users do you have and click-through rates and all this stuff that now has created this huge internet bubble. Like people think there's a stock bubble going on with the Dow Jones and all that. There's not. There's only 5 companies. Everything else is down. There's a internet bubble of like 5 or 6 big companies, and it's because so many of these companies just rely on like voodoo metrics. And that's going to be interesting because if streaming companies have to start doing that instead of just straight up eyeballs and ratings, it's going to be um, even more glut in content and weird business practices. They're going to be even more like tech companies, which is why I think is already happening that these people are like tech companies. Oh yeah, the Quibi service was ridiculous. That should have yeah, that's why I went back to pirating. Yes, totally. Yeah, so I think the idea is if we spam enough original content all the time, this is what I think their plan is. While you're still binging one show, before you binge before you finish a show, some new series or movies going to be on your screen. You finish, and now you're gonna be like, "Oh, I can't cancel yet because five new things dropped." And that's kind of, I think, the attitude. They're thinking they're just gonna keep you drugged up and numb, uh, by constantly re-injecting you before the next high wears off, by constantly having like a fresh pipe of opium sitting in front of you before you finish smoking the next one. But the problem is everybody else is crammed with content too. So, people are interested in like the 5 or 10 things that dropped on the other things on the other networks that are trending on Twitter right now. So it's gonna be weird I want to know what the new metrics are gonna be, what the new um no, I didn't talk about the lady in Harlem because I didn't research it yet. Well, I like to do this thing. I don't like to just talk about things when they happen because then all I'm talking about is stuff he got on Twitter. So I need to do research and I haven't pulled up the links. I haven't, checked. So I don't know. Oh, here's a survey. Of course you do. That's cool. I'm very curious about that. Yeah. Um, Someone said there's going to be a Dune. Oh, yes, it's going to be a Dune TV show. They don't even know if it's going to be successful yet. And they're planning spin-offs off this stuff. Because again, Dune is a proven property. It's got a built-in base. So, you know, they don't care. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting because I think their thought was spamming all this content was going to have the opposite example. The opposite effect, that it was going to keep everybody on board. You know, they were all going to stay on board because they were constantly seeing new stuff. But I think it's having the opposite effect with everybody spamming. It's like a buyer's market. No one has to stay anywhere because there's too much choice. So people are just hopping from place to place. And the other thing is everyone's just borrowing each other's passwords, you know? So the only thing you have to join is whatever service you don't have a password for. So yeah, I think that's funny. But the other article I want to talk about real quick is this is what I first started talking about. I forgot to get back to, but the content glut, and this is what I'm talking about, the academics, the activists, and the media people have all just kind of flattened to just one giant role. It's just become one giant type of social justice entertainment complex media influencer, and you just flow from thing to thing. So you have when Dr. CBS was on, we are talking about how a lot of what Ibram Kendi's been doing after his first actually pretty good book has just been pandering to like white liberals and stuff like that, and to the NPR wine mom tote bag crowd. And he just landed adaptation by Netflix, so he's going to join the Glut and the Churn. Ibram X Kendi's anti-racism books to be adapted by Netflix. It'll be a hybrid of documentary and scripted. And the fact that they're not just doing straight up documentaries, but documentary and scripted has me feeling that they're going to blur the line between fiction and reality to a degree. Because I always feel like TV movies, our biopics are, much more obviously bullshit and lies than documentary. And I think when you have a documentary and scripted blend, which I noticed that Netflix does a lot, what's going to happen is it's going to be for people who listen to our book club episode. We're talking about the essay on bullshit, and we're talking about bullshit versus lies. I feel like these new half scripted, half documentary, where you don't know where the fiction and the embellishment and the factual recitation begins and ends, are a perfect example of the bullshit principle being applied to nonfiction. So, yeah, Netflix's next series of adaptations look to target questions of racism. The streaming service recently announced they've acquired Ibram Kendi's series of books on anti-racism, So yeah, that's what they're gonna be working on. Should be interesting. Let's see. Now my screen is frozen. Hey, sorry y'all. Yeah, that's a good time to do a plug. This computer lately keeps overheating. I think I'm just streaming too much. This is too much high powered streaming. This daily streaming and podding. We've been podding a lot and guesting on people's pods. I think I've hit the limits of this Apple. So it's a good time to say hit the super chat if you're enjoying the stream. If you don't like these constant blackouts that have lately been happening, because it's looking like I'm gonna need to upgrade this computer. It's not looking good. It's been acting really weird a lot. Yeah, so hit the super chat if you're enjoying the stream. That's a little dollar sign in the chat section, gives you a chance to donate. Also hit us at PayPal at champagnesharks@gmail.com. Venmo or Cash App us, Champagne Sharks. And all of it's going to be floating at the bottom right now. If you don't have anything that you can spare, also go to patreon.com/champagne sharks, become a patron of the show. If you're already a patron and you're monthly, then feel free to become annual. That's something else you can do to help us. But at the very least, if you can't do any of that, because we understand it's hard times, liking, comment, sharing, subscribing, all that's free, especially the sharing part. Uh, get your friends to subscribe. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers across all platforms in 2021. Also, email us at champagnesharks@gmail.com if you like a segment of the show and you want to make a short clip of it for us. We've had people send us short clips of their favorite bits that we've done, and we're going to start posting short videos on here. Yeah, so send us a Google Drive link or a Dropbox link. Yeah, so anyway, sorry about the uh yeah, I gotta do something. Yeah, I gotta do something. Ice on info, you haven't been seeing, but this has been happening a lot. Like it happened yesterday too. It's just, but then again, I'm always talking about entertainment industry when this happens. So who knows? I mean, AT&T does own networks. I think they might own my cable service. So you never know. But yeah, I don't know at which point it cut off, but I was talking about Ibram Kendi and how he's gonna be part of this. Like basically everything's kind of being swept up in this bullshit and content glut and zero context project, you know. But yeah, Ibram Kendi is gonna be part of these books, you know. And I was talking about, and if you guys heard this, 'cause I don't know, because I was talking for a while before I realized I was frozen and then it shut off. But I was talking about how all these shows are gonna be a mix of scripted segments with documentary, and which is why I noticed Netflix has been doing a lot. They don't do straight up biopics and they don't do straight up documentaries as much. They're increasingly doing this thing where they mix actors and dramatization and scripting with documentary segments, and they're spliced together. And I was saying how I think it's going to be a real rise in bullshit, which is bullshit is like when all that matters if it's plausible and entertaining, not whether it's technically true, and nobody even really cares. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. And yeah, I mean that was basically the main thing I want to talk about. I found it very interesting that Ibram Kendi, and he's somebody we were just talking about how bad his stuff is, but he's willing to pander the kind of stuff that these people want him to pander, how it's already paying off. Like when you compare his original better book compared to this anti-racist baby nonsense looking thing he's doing, it's working. And what I'm wondering is this: the same way these showrunner influencer types hire the critics who show for them the best, you know, in different capacities as writing staff, and it's become normalized, you know. And the same way you have like Chrissy Teigen give a big job on her platform to the writer who wrote a glowing profile on her, and she gave her the job before the profile was even published, which makes me think that the girl told her everything she was going to write about her, maybe negotiated it with her. So yeah, she got the job even before the thing even got published, which is crazy. And that being normalized, what incentive does it have for future reviewers to um, be objective? It kind of creates a climate where you do things to get jobs from the people that you're covering. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why I think when Watchmen came out, everybody was falling all over themselves to excessively praise Lindelof because he might be the next person that they hire. Like they've seen that. Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, the more this gets normalized of superstar celebrity academics getting Netflix deals, getting Hulu deals, and all this stuff. Think about how much more pimped out and entertainment hungry media is going to get. Like the amount of Roxanne Gays and Professor Crunks is going to, you know, proliferate. It's going to incentivize a lot of people to act that way. Yeah, so no surprise there. And last thing I'm going to talk about. Yeah, America won't stop romanticizing transactional relationships. That's heavy. That's true. Very true. Oh yeah, and the Amazon. Go to champagnesharks.com. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I haven't read it, but a lot of people told me, Explosive Manosphere, check out his YouTube page. It's a great YouTube page. He's a former guest of Champagne Sharks. Um, Yeah, the first few books I heard are pretty good. Even the people who ultimately don't like and agree with them in full said that they were good books. Like they just disagreed on some issues with them, but it was a disagreement that they can respect the scholarship with which he came to the disagreement. But a lot of people who I trust who hate his new books, they just think that they're just not good. Yeah, so Yeah. Oof. But yeah, this is the last thing I want to show. Then I'm gonna go, which is talking about infantilize everything is. I was looking at this. I've been trying to follow local politics more and become a much more politically savvy person. Like not just be one of those people who's into the soap opera that is national politics. So I resurrected the old RSS reader. Like I haven't had an RSS reader in like forever, and following the straight up blogs on RSS reader like it's 2009, and this is Google Reader. And it's been good. It's been better than Twitter as far as the constant glut of content and churn. And it's more curated, and it's been good. But I saw this article. It was disappointing. City and state New York, which is normally about like city and state New York politics, did this article: who each Avenger would endorse for mayor. Captain America and Black Widow aren't the only ones with options. And then they just broke down like Iron Man, Thor, and it's like, what value does this add to anything? I mean, the worst I could think is they're trying to trick people into learning about local politics, because when they tell you why Iron Man would endorse Ray McGuire, it gives you an idea of Ray McGuire is, but that almost makes it sadder that that's what it takes to give people any type of civic information. You have to trick them in it by smuggling it in through an Avengers puff piece. And I just thought that was funny. I'm not going to bash the whole blog and publication. It's not normally that bad, but when I saw that, I was uncharacteristically like, why? But I just think it's inescapable. Like this aesthetic, this aesthetic of the hit is going to overrun everything. It's just is what it is. All right. So yeah, we're gonna talk about Amanda Gore. We have a guest to talk about Amanda Gore. That's coming soon. Yeah, Amanda Gorman. Yeah, man. There's a lot going on with Amanda Gorman, and we're gonna talk about it. We have a guest to talk about it too, and it's funny. All right, guys. Yeah. So as usual, if you support what we do, if we think we bring value to your life, and in the world of content. It's funny, when we started our show, one of the early episodes with Mike, RIP, as a joke, I said to Mike, everybody's talking about content creators and calling themselves content creators. There's too many content creators out there. We should build ourselves as context creators and make a t-shirt context creators and stuff. And I didn't know how prescient that was. That was just a throwaway joke, but maybe there's a seed of something germinating, because now I think that actually is something like I want to start seriously putting on a shirt. Just put something that says context creators or something. And yeah, but um, we're gonna build more on that in an upcoming episode about a particular essay by someone named George Troes called "Within the Context of No Context." It's an old essay that I think is an incredible essay. We're gonna break it down, and I think it predicted a lot of this stuff. And it's called "Within the Context of No Context," but I think it could have also been called "Within the Content of Too Much Content." You know? Yeah. R.I.P. Big Mike, for real, for real. Oh, she went to Harvard and she had that poem. I didn't even know that. Nah, I think they're really dropping the bar there. Yeah. Okay, guys. Be good. Hit us up, Venmo and Cash App at Champagne Sharks, PayPal, champagnesharks@gmail.com, Super Chat. All of it helps, because I'm sick of this computer. This computer's gonna blow up during a live stream or the rate is going. You're gonna see me get hit with shrapnel in real time, but hopefully not. Be good, guys. Take care.